Good morning, everyone. This is Melissa Sodola, the Senior Director of Communications and Marketing for CPS Energy. Thank you for joining us again today for our update for Saturday, February 20th. With us today, we have our President and CEO, Paula Gold-Williams, Rudy Garza, Chief Customer Engagement Officer, and Jesse Hernandez, our Director of Community Strategy. We are going to let each give an update and status on where we are as of today, and then we will do a Q&A. We will change it up a little bit. We have a little bit fewer reporters, and just based on timing, we'll turn to you all for a question and a follow-up question, and we should be able to get through everybody today in that manner. And with that, we thank you again for joining us and helping us update the community. And I'm going to turn it over to Paula to give an update.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks again for participating in these sessions. We are, I think, out of the biggest challenges that are associated with the weather event that started over a week ago. That said, we got to stay vigilant because there's still a focus on maintaining that reliability, getting the last few people on from being out over the last couple of days. And we have some challenges that we knew were going to happen with the costs that popped up over this period. We're looking at the billing system. We're really trying to slow that billing system down because there are people who were out, and we need to make sure that their bills reflect the usage that they properly had and not anything else. We have cost pressures that are coming through from what we had to pay for energy sources, those things. And I've said from the very beginning of these sessions that the reliability event is going to be followed by a tsunami of trying to get through these financial events. That said, our focus is to make sure that we can protect our customers as much as possible from an affordability standpoint. We're going to use every tool in our toolbox to make sure that San Antonio doesn't see some of the excessive monthly bills that we think will follow across Texas. We have focused on this issue, and we continue to be so sorry, so very sorry for the experiences that people had to endure. Not having power in essential service for days on end through the freeze was just a tremendously terrible hardship, and we are sorry for the experiences that people had and the things that people are working through to get back to normal life. I am personally sorry, CPS Energy is sorry, and we're committed to do all we can to again, get back to stability and sustain stability. This has been extremely challenging for our organization because we were already pressured. This has been very, very challenging for us because we were already pressured by still trying to handle the COVID challenges in front of us. We haven't done a disconnect since mid-March of last year, which we were glad not to do. We know, again, that people were pressured from the economic pressures, the health concerns, the mental pressures associated with the global pandemic that was in front of us. We have since, the one thing that we've been able to do is operate. And we are able to operate virtually today better than we would have a couple of years ago. We did not set up a central command center that we would have maybe 2 years ago because there was a hurricane. We didn't do that. It wasn't a need to do that. Our central command center probably would have been close to or in our emergency management center. But for COVID protocols, we keep everyone out of that center so we can keep everyone healthy and able to work around the clock. And then all of the other team members are working as best they can, either in the office or at home, and really trying to make sure that there are no issues from that perspective. But I do want to assure everyone in the community we were in constant contact, able to meet, able to make sure that we were looking at all the things we needed to maintain the reliability. We will continue to do whatever we can and as far as using our communication tools and going forward to move forward and again maintain that reliability. It was difficult in our control center as well. We lost water in that center, and so it made it even more crucial that we had limited staffing there. We had to bring in manual facilities for people, a porta potty, things like that. It was challenging for us to do that, but again, we had to make sure that that control center remained functional for the entire time. I will say that we are down from the above 300,000 peak levels that we saw during the storm. And this morning, we're less than 200 people who are out. The longest time frame that someone's been out from that standpoint is about 18 hours. So no one who originally was out from that Monday time frame was associated with the original, like they haven't been out since Monday. However, they could be out for other reasons. We did have a passenger car hit a pole overnight and take about 1,600 people down. This is now the things that happen in the everyday activities. Our team was able to get people back up again. So we're still, instead of having almost 2,000 people out, we're having less than 200 today. Our crews stand ready, but the weather is warming up, and this is exactly what we needed. We need mild temperatures to again, excuse me, to again make sure that we are levelizing our activities. I would say that we are out of the worst of it, and as far as extreme conservation measures, I would say we don't absolutely need that. But again, today I'm working with just the sun coming through and keeping as much of our lights off as possible. In general, I think conservation needs to be something that we're always constantly practicing. We just need to step it up when there's an event for a storm. So, you know, we're the one industry that really tells people use less of our power, conserving power again, and everybody working together and knowing that there are levels of conservation that we can practice depending on what's happening as a community and as a state. I think we have a new deep appreciation about how important conservation is during those stages. I will go back again and say that I have forecasted from the very beginning that these financial pressures on the utility industry are going to be our next tsunami. I do, again, want our community to know we're going to use every single tool we can to mitigate that. The challenge is that the system will automatically keep registering everything, even when the heating systems would continue to try to cut on. And so it looks like there's consumption during that time frame. We have cut off our Manage My Account system for right now because we're going to need to go in and try to correct those systems and take those charges out for people who were out during this outage and really try to manage through that. Those are hundreds of thousands of accounts that we're going to try to clean up. So we're cutting off the system to not create more concern about not being able to address it. We are addressing it, and we're just going to take some time to try to clean that up and make sure that it's not causing an issue unnecessarily. I do want to ask, my last comment is, we will continue to have people out as needed to make sure that power is restored for whatever reason. All the issues now are equipment failures, fuses blown, things like that, special issues in parts of town that have to be addressed. In general, if you could always know that when there are crews working in the field, if you could still follow a practice of move over if they're close to a traffic area, move over so they can work safely and get the rest of San Antonio restored. That's what we ask. That's our standard ask all the way through. But I want to highlight again, the crews are working as hard as they can out in the field to make sure that your power is restored, both on the electric side and on the gas side. So with that, I will turn it over to Rudy to give an update.
Thank you, Paula. That was such a comprehensive review. I'm not sure what's left for me, but I will say that, again, we appreciate all the communication that we've been in with our customers over these last, 5 days. We've got inquiries via social media. Every member of the CPS Energy team that knows somebody in the field or, family and friends have been, carrying a message forward, giving tips on, what's happening and, where things are going and, when we might be out of this. And, we have tried our best to be honest with our community from the get-go as to, what we think's happening and, when we might come out of this. And, I'm thankful that we came out of this probably a little quicker than we thought we would on Wednesday night. And since then, we have been feverishly working to get every last customer on, and we've done that. I can't reiterate the thanks that the leadership team has for our folks in the field who have done just an outstanding job, many of which who had they'd come in for a, 10, 12-hour shift with no power at home, go home, sleep and, get up and come right back to work with their families without water, without energy in some cases, and in a lot of cases, and, and get the job done. So, again, if any customers out there, need our assistance from, if you've got an issue with your house that's preventing you from getting power, and it's going to take some repairs or something, please give us a call and we'll get our customer design team, engaged to, help you with, city permits or which have actually been waived. But if there's a process issue we can help you with to get your power back on sooner if you've got some damage to your home, we're here obviously to help. Just call us. And again, I'm gonna reiterate what Paula spent a lot of time on today. We want to make sure that the information we're presenting on, as it relates to billing, issues is correct. We want to make sure that customers who were out of power, for a day or more, that is reflected correctly in your usage. And so we're going to get it right. We hope to have our managed by account system back up, soon. But I've challenged my team to make sure that we've gone through the data and that it's accurate and correct. And we just ask customers to continue. If you have a question about anything, you pick up the phone and call us, and we will talk through that. But there are no disconnects going on. We're going to work with our community, as we try to get back, to our jobs of delivering, reliable energy to our customers. And we don't want you worrying about, what the potential bill impact is. We're working very, very hard to be thoughtful about, what the impact of this event has been on our community, and to have conversations with, with our board and, with council and folks that we need to talk to about these issues. So thank you very much for being here with us and continuing to show up. And we appreciate you being here today. Jesse?
Thank you, Rudy. Buenos días. Esta es nuestra actualización de hoy, sábado 20 de febrero. Como dijo Paula, tenemos que estar o seguimos atentos ahora que vamos saliendo de esta tormenta que hemos estado teniendo. Y sabemos que todos han tenido una dificultad tremenda y terrible. Y por eso, de parte de CPS Energy, nos disculpamos y lo sentimos mucho por todo lo que han estado pasando. También Paula habló sobre nosotros hemos estado trabajando las 24 horas del día y debido a los protocolos que hemos tenido de COVID, hemos estado trabajando virtualmente y esa es una de las razones por qué no establecimos un centro comando central, pero hemos trabajado las 24 horas del día haciendo eso. Ahora, ya que vamos restaurando a todos nuestros clientes, viene el tsunami de las presiones financieras, pero queremos que todos nuestros clientes sepan que vamos a trabajar lo necesario, ya sea con el concilio, cualquier persona que necesitamos trabajar para que las facturas no sean difíciles. Y vamos a trabajar con nuestros clientes para seguir, que sigan con la energía necesaria. Y las presiones financieras, todo eso lo vamos a arreglar y vamos a trabajar con nuestro equipo para encontrar las soluciones que necesitamos para eso. A partir de esta mañana, a las 9 de la mañana, tenemos menos de 200 clientes sin electricidad y ya hemos restaurado todos los relacionados con la caída de la carga que tuvimos durante los días pasados. Nuestra interrupción más larga es de 18 horas y eso es debido a que hemos tenido fallas en el equipo, pero nuestro personal ya está ahí en el sitio y están trabajando para restaurar la energía. Y durante la noche también tuvimos un choque automovilístico que chocó con un poste que provocó temporalmente un corte de energía que afectó alrededor de 1,600 clientes, pero sí ya se restauraron. Ahora nuestro enfoque continuo es en restaurar a los clientes que han estado fuera por más tiempo y nuestro equipo tiene que ir a veces en casa para verificar que el servicio esté funcionando y eso lo estamos haciendo ya ahora. Estamos resolviendo un problema también en el portal de Mi Energía sobre cómo se muestra el uso de energía. Estamos trabajando con nuestro proveedor para resolver el problema y entendemos la preocupación, como mencioné, sobre las facturas. Pero Rudy mencionó que vamos a trabajar con todos nuestros clientes y nuestro equipo internamente va a estar funcionando diligentemente para asegurarnos de todos los cobros que estén ahí sean exactos y correctos. Y vamos a trabajar para que así sea. Y también recuerde que vamos a seguir trabajando con todos nuestros clientes en su factura y no vamos a tener desconexiones a nadie por falta de pago. Estamos trabajando en soluciones para que las facturas sigan siendo asequibles y sobre los días pasados hemos estado hablando que vamos a buscar soluciones ya que vamos a ver si podemos financiar a largo plazo o cualquier solución que sea necesaria para que sigan las facturas asequibles. Le pedimos que todos en las carreteras estén seguros al conducir y que se muevan y disminuyan la velocidad cuando vean a nuestro equipo. Vamos a seguir trabajando a las 24 horas del día para seguir restaurando a los pocos clientes que siguen sin energía. Y gracias por su paciencia nuevamente. Y nuevamente de parte de CPS Energy les pido mil disculpas por todo esto que han estado pasando. Lo sentimos mucho. Sabemos que todas sus familias y toda la comunidad ha sufrido tremendamente, pero como pueden ver, poco a poco vamos saliendo de esto y vamos a ir trabajando hasta que cada uno de nuestros clientes tenga su energía. Gracias.
Thank you, Paula, Rudy, and Jesse. We are going to go into a Q&A now, and Adrian will unmute you. You will get a question and a follow-up question, and we will work to get through everyone's questions today. So first, we'll start with Cody King.
Cody, thank you for joining us. You'll be unmuted now. So, Cody, please ask your question.
Hold on, just about that.
Cody, can you repeat your question?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I know that you said there are about less than 200 people without power as of this morning. Do you know like the time frame? I know those outages are probably also dependent on repairs being made. But is there like a general consensus on when you think everyone will have power restored?
Rudy, do you have any additional information?
Well,
on that?
Yes, ma'am. Let me kind of clarify. The outages today are not related to the event, the weather event. So we had equipment failure. I think there's equipment that we use. We have. Well, I don't want to get too technical. We've got a transformer that is a longer outage, which is why they've been out for so long that we're trying to address. They've been out 18 hours. Well, hopefully they'll be back on this morning. But what we can do is I'll get some more information and we'll try to put some information out on social media on that particular outage. I need to get an update on where they are, but I do know that it was a larger transformer, which is why those customers have been out for so long.
Do you have a follow-up question?
And I know you kind of addressed this a little bit earlier, but a lot of people are concerned that what happened over this past week will be reflected in their bills. I know Paula had said that people are working to remove that on the system. So is that for sure that people don't really need to worry then that what happened this past week will be reflected on bills like that? It will not be added on, correct?
We're going to focus and really look at, again, all the people who were out for a sustained time and really go through and try to clean all of that stuff off. I will say that this issue about the cost of fuel is a community-wide issue that we're going to have to work, and it's going to take us, quite a bit of time. We will be talking about that, though, with our board and with the council and asking questions publicly. But these, we're talking about a huge amount of cost for the community. We'll also, again, look for every tool in our toolbox to mitigate that impact to the community overall and try to push it out. So more information to come, but our goal is to take as much pressure off of individual customers as possible that we can.
Thanks for your questions, Cody. Next, we'll go to Garrett Bringer.
Thank you for joining us. You'll be unmuted now.
Good morning. Paula, we've seen a lot of people already bucking against the idea of ratepayers shouldering this extra cost from the fuel, even over the long term. A lot of people online, once they heard about that, absolutely livid. The mayor last night saying that was absolutely not an acceptable outcome. He suggested sending the bill to ERCOT. Are there any other options beyond that CPS is considering to cover the cost of the fuel, to cover these fuel costs, besides passing it on to ratepayers, even over a long-term period, such as a decade or more, as you mentioned yesterday?
Well, I mean, we will definitely be looking at as many other options that we have. By far, I mean, there may be some federal assistance that we would be able to get, because this is going to be a statewide huge issue. And we definitely want to work with elected officials to look to problem solve what this pressure is. We, of course, are passionate about our San Antonio customers here, and we want them to be protected as much as possible. So we won't pay a penny more than we need to, and we'll look at other avenues and gladly work with elected officials. I do want people to understand the broadness of this issue, though. It is something that all of Texas will need to work together on to decide how best we can, again, handle this and make sure, again, that customers are protected as much as possible. The issue is we're just in the middle of it right now. So, but we started right away when I was talking at the very beginning of the week about what we saw. And so we've been trying to make a list of different things that we can pursue. As we go through those efforts, we will, again, keep people updated.
Garrett, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Paul, do you have any numbers related to the cost? I know yesterday you said you all were still trying to get your arms around the numbers and the total cost, saying only that you knew it was going to be huge. But what is it? Do you have a better idea of at least a ballpark of what that would mean to the individual ratepayer, whether that's all up front, which I know you said you wouldn't do, or spread out over the long term? What is the actual effect on someone's bill? Just a ballpark.
Thank you. Great question. We will be working all weekend to kind of fine tune that overall estimate. So I would imagine early next week, I'll have a better range for you. I don't have it now. I haven't been able to sit and actually look at the details with my team, but we're going to be working all weekend and probably into Monday. And as soon as we know early next week, we'll start to share that range.
Thanks for your questions, Garrett. Next, we'll go to Emily Baucom.
Thank you for joining us. You'll be unmuted now.
I asked a direct question during yesterday's briefing about the customer portal and reports it was not working. Why wasn't this addressed when I asked that question? We could properly warn people.
Yes, ma'am. I do remember that you raised an issue on that, and we acknowledge that whatever that is, we don't want people to be alarmed by that because we know that that is something that we need to address. It is just going to take some time to go through the system. Now that we've got the reliability issues on, we're going to have to go through and scrub hundreds of thousands of accounts. So it's just going to take us some more time.
Molly, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, I do. I'm glad you remember the question. The answer was not satisfactory. It was, call us if you have problems. Did you know then that the customer portal was bad? This is symptomatic of what we've been seeing all week, that we haven't gotten straight answers. Viewers and our community members wanted you there on Monday, hour by hour, saying, this is going to be bad. Here's what's coming. This is symptomatic of that.
Well, I appreciate your question, and I think our conversation also went through, we're not disconnecting anyone. The complexities of trying to get the bill process done are definitely prioritized, but we had to work on reliability first, getting every customer back up. We're not disconnecting anyone. When I say give us a call, we understand that people have specific questions, so we'll gladly continue, and we want people to talk to us about that. But from a system perspective of trying to go through hundreds of thousands of accounts, it is going to take us some time. So I am very appreciative that you asked the question yesterday. I think that was the extent of our conversation. Nobody will be disconnected. And so we will work with everyone, and we will make sure that we go through it in great detail. To make sure that we look at hundreds of thousands of accounts, we're going to need to take some time to do that.
Right, next we will go to Dylan Collier.
Dylan, thank you for joining us. You'll be unmuted now.
Hi, Paula. In a letter yesterday to Governor Abbott, Judge Nelson Wolff said CPS Energy and ERCOT, quote, sharing the blame for the failure of our electrical power system. He also wrote that the city of San Antonio will investigate the shortcomings of CPS Energy. What were those failures and what are those shortcomings?
So thank you very much, Dylan, for your comments. I think when our effort is that, our biggest failure is people had to experience the wrath of this weather storm because there was just so much more demand than there was supply, unprecedented levels, and we are sorry, so very, very sorry that all happened. From the perspective, in hindsight, maybe we should have had, thousands more of capacity on the line. But from that perspective, that would have been a cost that we would have had to push to the customers, at that time. So, there are things that we're going to go through, and we're going to look at things we could do better and do it internally. As far as an external investigation, we welcome people helping us look at this entire system from beginning to end, the whole sequence of events, so we can all look at it objectively and share that information. So we understand that people want to have more accountability and more information, and we will cooperate fully, and we will also be self-critical in the process to see what we could have done better.
And Dylan, you get a follow-up question.
Thank you. Did CPS leadership at any point recommend to the city that warming centers be put together ahead of the storm? And if so, when did those conversations take place? It just seems like the warming centers have been put together sort of late in the storm, later in the week when this could have been done much, much earlier.
I will say that we were focused on talking to everybody on conservation and just keeping the systems up and keeping everyone informed. So we were not part of focusing on the warming centers. We were just hoping that the weather system wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. So no, we did not drive that conversation.
But Dylan, I will add, I personally participated in every one of the city briefings twice a day, giving all of our community partners updates on where we were in the process, what our expectations were. As the weather got worse and stayed worse, our projections of the event extending beyond Wednesday, we communicated that as clearly and as as honestly as we could based on what we knew. So we worked together as partners to try to to try to, identify where the situation was, and that's what led us to the city ultimately to recognizing warming centers were a good idea. But we were working side by side with them through this event the whole time.
Thank you, Dylan. We'll go to Gerald Tracy next.
Gerald, thank you for joining us. You'll be unmuted now to ask your question. Gerald, you have been unmuted. Please ask your question. Melissa, not hearing a question from Gerald.
Okay. We'll go to Danielle Moody.
Danielle, thank you for joining us. You'll be unmuted now.
Here's the situation call. So they're gonna get out of here.
She's toning it out now.
Okay. Leave when they leave.
Okay, so maybe
Looks
she
like Danielle does
doesn't
not have a question. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go through the list really quick. I think we lost some folks. All right, we will go back. We do have time for another quick round. So we will start again with, let me start with Emily again. Emily, is there anything else you'd like to ask?
Emily, you'll be unmuted now.
You could go back to Sunday night. What would you have done differently?
So in hindsight right now, I don't think we had any additional tools that we could have deployed in Sunday night. Again, we were talking to the community, talking to you as media. We were all, I really do appreciate the stations showing how bad the weather was at the time. We did not have any additional tools at that time. So, but again, we'll go through and we'll look at it more clearly now that the weather is good, and then we'll participate with other views and perspectives and reviews of our activities. But from this standpoint, we did not have additional tools to use.
Thank you, Emily. Garrett.
Garrett, you'll be unmuted now.
Yes, was there any opportunity for CPS to have stockpiled natural gas? You noted that that's the big cost driver here, that fuel spiked. Knowing that the cold weather was coming, could you have stockpiled natural gas within the CPS system? I'm not familiar enough to know for sure, but rather than having to take it in off the market once those prices were spiking, which normally happens in a cold weather event, could you have had it on hand already?
We did have some reserves. We've always carried some reserves in storage. So we did have that as a mechanism. And we did have some hedging that did help us protect part of our requirements and made sure that the cost didn't go up on a portion of our total need. So we did have some of those tools. It's, an analogy, it's like, the commodity itself is a very fluid market. Natural gas is trading all the time, has traded for years and years. And so it's the perspective of, maybe from, in this case, once we get our water system back up, once that water starts flowing, it's always going to be there when you go and go to the faucet and fill up your glass. And so you wouldn't normally think that you'd have to put water in your garage, storage tanks of water in your garage on the everyday perspective for that, arguably 1 in 100-year event. And so we had some, but we didn't have enough that would have been needed for an event like this. This was something that we had never seen before. And so from that perspective, no, we didn't have it. But from overall, we typically have enough reserves to carry us through a normal winter event or a normal summer event.
Dylan, we'll go back to Dylan.
You'll be unmuted now.
It looks like for now, CPS Energy has been left off the list of utilities that have been issued civil investigative demands by the Texas Attorney General's office. Have you had any communications with them, and are you relieved that you have not been issued a CID to date?
We haven't had any communications. I would imagine that everyone across the state will ultimately, need to share information. And again, if there's anything that we're asked for any organization to, officially look at our activities, we will fully cooperate.
Dylan, we'll go back to Cody.
You'll be unmuted now.
Just one last question for me, and then I think I'm good on my end. But just going back to, I know you said that the Manage My Account portal will be down. So I just wanted to know if customers are looking to pay their bill and they can't do it online, are they still just urged to call, or what's kind of the process with that?
Yeah, they can call, but for right now, with the system being down, they should relax as best they can and focus on, again, getting their lives back in order. We will put out notices and we will share in the morning update when the system's back up again. But for right now, they can call if they want additional information, but they don't need to call. Again, they won't be disconnected, and we're going to continue to try to clean this all up. And then there'll be something that we can all look at together and work with each customer on their questions and concerns.
Thank you, Cody. We'll go back to Garrett. Do you have any other last questions, Garrett?
You'll be unmuted now.
Yes, absolutely. So, Paula, you were saying that you wouldn't normally store that much up. But, local weather, we were forecasting that this was not going to be a typical event. How much more capacity for natural gas could you have had on hand if you had loaded up to the gills?
Well, our storage, we can get to the specific numbers afterwards, but our storage facilities, we don't have tanks and tanks and tanks are associated with that. But what we did have, we had pretty good reserves in those individuals. We couldn't go out and then procure a whole, new element of having additional natural gas. We had to fill up what we have and get ready to manage through it. But we immediately were looking for how could we get access to natural gas reserves that were out there. And so what we did is we went to the market and then started procuring it. But by the time it's noticed, the people who provide the reserves, they're actually producing natural gas. They see the same forecast that we do. And so they also knew that the price of that commodity was going to go up and that, they were going to give what they could. So you couldn't produce any more, any faster. And even if you could, there were, problems in the supply chain by the time the forecast for weather came out.
All right, thank you. And Emily, do you have a last question you would like to ask today?
You'll be muted now.
Yes. Yesterday, you said CPS consider bonds to pay for this for the next decade. Would CPS be able to get those bonds privately, or is that something like a school district or public works would have to go to the voters?
Our bonds are typically always issued through the municipal market. We would use, we've issued bonds to pay for fuel before. We have a public facility corporation that we were able to create several years back, or actually back in the 2007 timeframe, actually. And so we've been able to procure bonds for that. And they're municipal bonds. They can be issued as taxable or non-taxable. So we have a vehicle to be able to do that. We have a market to be able to do that. And it's not private placement of funds. It's through the municipal market.
Right. We do thank everybody for joining us. We're going to turn it back to our leaders to give some closing thoughts. We won't have a briefing tomorrow, but we will send out an update to everyone just on the latest information, and we'll start these back up again on Monday. We'll make sure you have the time and the link to join in. Again, we do thank you all for joining us and getting the word out about what we're doing in this really fast developing situation for us. So first I'll turn it over to Jesse to give an update, and then we'll go to Rudy and Paula to close it out. So Jesse.
Melissa. Nuevamente queremos darle las gracias por estar aquí hoy. Mañana no vamos a tener una rueda de prensa como la de hoy, pero sí vamos a mandar un reporte escrito para que puedan tener su información y luego vamos a renovar estas ruedas de prensa empezando el lunes para seguir proveyéndole la información más reciente. Y nuevamente, solamente de parte de todos de CPS Energy, queremos disculparnos por todos los problemas que han tenido en la comunidad y queremos asegurarles que vamos a seguir funcionando las 24 horas del día para que todos de nuestros clientes tengan su energía restaurada lo más pronto posible y lo vamos a hacer seguros para que todo nuestro equipo esté seguro. Y nuevamente les recordamos que si están en las carreteras y ven a nuestro equipo, que por favor manejen con precaución y muchas gracias por su paciencia durante estos esfuerzos que estamos haciendo para restaurar la energía. Gracias.
Next, we'll go to
Rudy, are you going next?
Yes, ma'am. I was waiting for the prompt by Melissa, but again, I'll end this briefing as I've ended all of them. We really appreciate the patience and empathize with the difficulty of this past week. I want to encourage all of our customers, to take a breather this weekend, and this weekend should be about recovery and healing and mentally getting past the past week. So I wish you all peace and warmth this weekend, and to continue. The snow is about gone outside of my home. I don't think I will ever look at snow the same way again going forward. But it's been an unprecedented week. We continue to be here committed to serving you. I don't want to any of our customers, not one of our 1.2 million customers, right now is not the time to be stressing over your bill. CPS Energy will thoughtfully move forward with the impacts of this implication. And, some of what you're seeing out in other parts of the state, that is not the case in San Antonio. We're going to be thoughtful about how we move forward. Paula is leading us and challenging us to ensure that we keep customer affordability at top of mind, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm asking you, if you're worried about your bill, please stop worrying about that this weekend and focus on you, your families, your health, your safety, and get your lives back to normal. Thank you. We at all 3,100 employees of CPS Energy care about our customers. We're committed to doing the job that you expect us to do. We know we can do better, and we will going forward. But recognize that we're going to continue to stay focused on the job that you expect us to do going forward. Thank you.
And, I will start with the, continual focus on apologizing to all of our customers about the implications that they've had to deal with over this last week. It has been truly a terrible experience, much worse than we thought. And we know that, again, everybody had to just do what they needed to do to make it through it. But we are sorry for the implications. Energy and power are critical for everyone to lead normal lives. And we understand how important it is to keep the energy flowing. In this case, we are absolutely sorry. I am personally sorry. In this case, the grid was stressed beyond its capabilities in many ways. We did the focus on trying to keep it from completely crashing. Right now, when you look out and you see how beautiful the day is and how much we appreciate it, it's hard to even think about how difficult that period was. And we never want to see that again, but we don't actually control the weather patterns that occur. But we will take every bit of effort and beyond to go back and be self-critical and look for ways for us to do better, to be better set up. I do believe that from a environmental standpoint, these extreme weather swings are something that are going to potentially happen more frequently than every 100 years. And so we're going to have to think about what that is. It's going to take effort. It's going to take conversation. It's going to take a systemic view across our entire community, and I believe across our state, to think about how to handle these new issues that are popping up and are truly unprecedented. Unfortunately, we've been saying unprecedented for a long time. COVID-19's been unprecedented, and the implications to everyone's lives that we're still living through complicate everything. And now we have this unprecedented weather event in the state of Texas. And so putting those two together has just set us up in this one instance to be just a extremely unimaginable experience. We are here to do better. We are here to be your energy experts and focus again on what improvements can be made. We will be self-critical. We are being self-critical, and we will again work with any group, any group of elected officials, and in general, answering to our customers again about what happened and what we can do better in the future. We understand that that is part of the process. What we lived through last week is not over, from the standpoint again that people are beginning to see the system issues that never contemplated that we would have this type of uncertainty in bills. So now we have to go back and do a lot more focus on scrubbing and cleaning our systems. And we ask you for your patience. Know again that we aren't going to disconnect you. We haven't done a disconnect since March, the middle of March of 2020. It'll almost be a year very soon, but this is not the time to do disconnects while we're trying to work with our customers. And again, our goal is always to protect our entire community as best we can from the implications of the weather issue. And we will also put all our focus to protect our customers from the financial implications. You will see all types of stories. You will see pricing. You will see all types of impacts. We at CPS Energy have served this community for 160 years. I was born and raised here. I am absolutely focused on protecting San Antonio as much as possible from those implications. We will use every tool in our toolbox. We will look at financial instruments. We will look at aid. We will look at discussions with legislators. What can be done? Because this is a huge issue, not just San Antonio. It is huge for the state. And we think that collaboratively, we all need to work together to find the right solutions. Thank you again for being with us. Yes, we don't plan to have a briefing tomorrow, assuming everything stays calm. The weather is mild. The temperatures are going to get cold again, but this warming up period is really, I think, going to lead to a calm evening. And so that's why we're really not going to do much. If something unusual were to happen, we will send out a notice and of course be ready to have a preview, but we don't anticipate that. And we will be back at it again on Monday and be available to you. So thank you again for helping us get the word out and try to get people answers. And thank you for your diligence. Have a good weekend.